The good thing about the Chester River that we've noticed in the last several years of monitoring is that it's not getting worse. It's not deteriorating to the point where we can throw in the towel, which is the encouraging part. We're seeing some of the trends and some of the best management practices that have been implemented, be it through the agricultural program and state funding, or through voluntary efforts on the part of individual homeowners upgrading their septic systems and doing other best management practices along their shorelines, for example. So that's encouraging. A discouraging portion is that the fact that the river is still on the state's list of impaired waterways, and we do have a way to go. And with the 1,400 members or so that CRA has, we could use a lot more. And that reaching that critical mass will be what takes, what pushes the Chester, I think, over the tipping point, is to get that consensus, that critical mass, get them involved, get them in contact with the water, and realize that everything that they do upland affects everything down channel from them. And that's part of my job as Waterkeeper, is to be the advocate, the voice for this river, for this water body, the watchdog, to be there on the end of the phone when somebody calls in a complaint or has a concern about their neighbor, their industry, their community, or any practices that are occurring in the watershed. It's my job to then go out and investigate and take action if necessary. A riverkeeper's job or a waterkeeper's job is just that, is to be a full-time advocate for their particular local water body. That there's someone full-time on the end of the phone that can respond to any emergency or non-emergency, that can be there to answer questions, to hold interviews, to speak with young children, to speak with civic groups, to elicit help and to confront polluters. And it's an easy job at sometimes, and it's very challenging at others. And that's I think what calls a lot of people to this job.
My name is Brent Walls. I am the Program Watershed Coordinator for Chester River Association, and I do all the monitoring. We do a non-tidal and a tidal monitoring. Today we just went out and did tidal monitoring for on the Chester. We have 20 sites that we do from top to bottom, about every 2 miles apart, and we do surface and bottom depth sampling for dissolved oxygen, percent saturation, salinity, and then we also do Secchi depth. So we get a pretty good picture of what's going on with the river. We also keep track of tide, whether it's high tide, low tide, medium tide. And what we've found out this spring is that the tide, the incoming tide, whenever we have a high tide, we have a dominated algae bloom occurring in the lower part of the Chester. But at the same time, the following week, we would go out and it was a low tide, and we didn't have that algae bloom. Then the week after that, the tide came in, we had an algae bloom. So it was very interesting to see that dynamic on the river. And then also seeing the stratification of DO at the bottom, DO at the top, salinity at the bottom, salinity at the top. So it's quite interesting.